what are real numbers? Real numbers consist of all the rational and irrational numbers. And the real number system has many subsets. That means what all kind of numbers do you have in real numbers? So you have natural numbers, you have whole numbers, you have integers, and a lot of other things. So to generalize, what are real numbers? Real numbers are nothing, but they are a set of both rational and irrational numbers. So before we proceed, I think it is mandatory for us to quickly recap all these terms. What are natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational and irrational numbers, right? So let's start with each one of them one by one. All right. So Asim, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Asim, read out the definition for natural numbers.
Natural numbers.
Yeah.
Natural numbers are set of counting numbers.
All right. And the examples are?
1, 2, 3, then continue till infinity.
All right. Is 0 a natural number, Asim?
No.
No. Very good. So all the counting numbers. Yes, very good, Asim. Thank you. You can mute yourself. So all the counting numbers, and because when we talk about counting numbers, our counting always begins with 1 and not 0, right? So if you have to count the number of people in a room, you would start by saying 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? So the set of counting numbers are called natural numbers. So it begins with 1, 2, 3, and it goes on up to infinity. You should remember that 0 is not a natural number. So the next thing after natural numbers, which is obvious, is to talk about whole numbers, right? So whole numbers. Ayush, are you there? Ayush?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ayush. Yeah, please explain the slide. Whole numbers.
Whole numbers are the set of numbers that include 0 plus a set of natural numbers.
Yes. And the examples are?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till infinity.
Till infinity. So how are, Ayush, how are whole numbers different from natural numbers?
Whole numbers include 0 while natural numbers do not.
Very good. So I think it's clear to everybody. Natural numbers begin from 1 onwards, and when you include 0, then that set that's shown on the slide would be called as whole numbers. Now, one thing that's a very obvious, very obvious question that comes up: are all whole numbers natural numbers? Okay, so I'll just
No.
ask. No, don't answer like that. I'll ask somebody. Okay. Amisha, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Amisha, so what do you think? Are all whole numbers natural numbers? Is the
No,
statement true? No,
no.
it's not true. Very good. Why is it not true?
Because whole numbers include zero with them, while natural numbers not. So
Exactly, exactly. And what if I put a statement like this? All natural numbers are whole numbers. Is that
yeah,
statement true?
it's true.
Very good. It is true because when you start saying 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, all these numbers are natural numbers as well as whole numbers. Okay, very good, Amisha. Any doubts, children, so far?
No.
Yeah. So that was natural numbers, and then we spoke about whole numbers, and the next term that comes in would be integers. So to understand integers, let's have Ankita. Are you there, Ankita?
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
yes, Ankita, explain the slide that's being shown. What are integers?
Integers are the set of whole numbers and their opposites.
Yeah, so what does it mean by opposites?
Like they include numbers with a negative sign.
Very good, Ankita. They include numbers with the negative sign. So as you can see, all of you, 1, 2, 3 would be a set of natural numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3 would be a set of whole numbers. So to the collection of whole numbers, when you add their opposites, that means when you add the negatives, -1, -2, -3, up to whatever, minus infinity, then this set that's shown on the slide would be called a collection of all integers, right? So integers are a set of whole numbers and their opposites. Is it clear? Mm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so after integers, of course, the next term that we need to discuss would be rational numbers. So let's have Gangotri, are you there?
Ma'am.
Yeah, so Gangotri, explain the slide better. Rational numbers, we've done this in
Rational
grade 9.
rational numbers are any numbers that can be expressed in a form of a by b, where a and b are integers and b is not equal to 0.
Yes, very good.
They
So can you give an example better? Example of a rational number?
1 by 2.
1 by 2. Very good, Gangotri. Very good. 1 by 2. Can you explain why 1 by 2 is a rational number? Looking at the definition.
It is in the form of a by b,
Very good.
where 2 is
1
not
and
equal
2.
to 0.
Yes, where 2 is not equal to 0 and 1 and 2 are integers, right?
Integers,
We just discussed that 1 and 2 are integers. So you have given an example 1 by 2. So where 1 and 2 are integers and b is not equal to 0, that's why 1 by 2 is a rational number. Very good. Read the next step, the next point.
They can always be expressed by using terminating decimals or repeating decimals.
Very good. So I don't know how many of you remember terminating decimals or repeating decimals. Anyone? Any idea? Thank you, Gangotri. Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, terminating decimals.
What are terminating decimals? Who knows the answer?
Ma'am, can I answer?
Yes, please tell your name.
Ma'am, Amog.
Yes, Amog.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, so terminating decimals are like they stop after a certain point, like 0.004, etc. But
Very
repeating is like 0.6 bars, so it's like 666, keeps going on.
Very good, very
Those are
good, very good, very good, Amog. Perfect. So terminating decimals, see, like the word terminating, what does it mean? It means to end, right? So when you divide a number, like if we take Gangotri's example, 1 by 2, what would be the decimal expansion of 1 by 2, children?
0.5.
0.5. Very good. Somebody has given the answer 0.5. Now see, when I divide 1 by 2, the remainder would be 0. Okay, the remainder would be 0 and the decimal expansion would be 0.5. So this is ending. Terminate means to end. Yeah. So what are terminating decimals? The decimal expansions which end. Okay. And what are repeating decimals? Something that, okay, please mute yourself, all of you. Yeah. And so 0.5 is a terminating decimal expansion. Suppose I say 0.52. Again, it's a terminating decimal expansion. Suppose I say 5.27. That's also terminating decimal expansion. So something that terminates, something that ends, something when you divide whose remainder becomes equal to 0 would be called terminating decimals. Okay. Repeating decimals, like Amog pointed out, something that just continues. Okay, so it has to repeat itself. He said 0.6 bar. If you remember, we've done this in 9th grade. 0.6 bar would be what? 0.66666 and so on. So 6 is repeating itself. Yeah. So decimal expansions which either terminate or which repeat themselves, such expansions fall under rational numbers. Indeed, if you remember, you had this exercise where a decimal expansion would be given to you and you had to convert it to a rational number. Yeah, is that okay? Any doubts, children? I think I'll just show you once. We can discuss more clearly about terminating decimal expansions. Yeah. So let's have Rishabh.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Rishabh. Rishabh, read the slide. Read and explain the slide.
Terminating decimals. Terminating decimals are decimals that contain a finite number of digits.
Yes. And examples?
36.8, 0.125, 4.5.
Yes. Can you give 3 more examples on your own?
Fine, sir.
Rishabh, can you give us
35.
more?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
35.2,
Very good.
7.4,
Very good.
10.6.
10.6.
6.
Very good. So terminating decimals are decimals that contain a finite number of digits, and all you need to remember that all the terminating decimals are actually rational numbers. They fall under rational numbers, right? Anyone, any doubt? Okay, no, fine. So after terminating decimals, the next thing that we just discussed was repeating decimals. Repeating or recurring. You can use the word repeating or recurring. Let's have Geet. Are you there, Geet? Geet? Okay, what happened? Kirtana, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Kirtana, read the slide and explain better.
Repeating decimals are decimals that contain an infinite number of digits.
Okay, and what are the examples?
Examples are 0.333, 1.9 bar, and
Yes.
7.689689.
689, 689, 689, dot, dot, dot. Okay. So again, children, if you remember, whenever we talk about repeating decimals or recurring decimal expansion, those dots that you can see on in the first and the third example, they are very important, because when you don't put those dots, then it becomes a terminating decimal expansion. So the dots indicate that the expansion is infinite. There are infinite number of digits, right? So those dots are important. Kirtana, can you give me one more example?
0.5 bar.
Very good. 0.5 bar. So 0.555 and so on is an example of repeating decimal. So what you need to remember is repeating decimal expansions and terminating decimal expansions. Both of them are examples of rational numbers. Okay, so that is important for you all. Very good, Kirtana. Let's move ahead and look at the next term, which is irrational numbers. Okay, so let's have
Can I read that?
yes, who's this?
Vansh.
Yes, Vansh, please read.
Irrational numbers are any numbers that cannot be expressed as a by b.
Yes. So can you give an example?
Well,
Okay, examples
pi
are there. Yeah, read on, Vansh.
they are expressed as non-terminating, non-repeating decimals,
Yes,
decimals that go on forever without repeating a pattern.
very good.
Examples
Yes.
of irrational numbers are pi, under root 2, or all the non-perfect under roots.
Very good. Correct. Yes. So all of you, I think the second point is what we have to emphasize on. Non-terminating, non-repeating decimal expansions fall under irrational numbers. Okay, Abhishek. Yes. What happened?
Ma'am, is
Can you
22 by 7 is 22 by 7 a rational or an irrational number?
Yes, very good. Good question. Who's this?
Aditi.
Yes, Aditi. Good question. I'll just Abhishek, no, you can't leave, because once you leave, you can't join back. The meeting must have been closed by now. So yes, Abhishek, I can see your chat. Oh, you can't hear anything. All right, fine. Leave, and I have just admitted some child now. Try doing it. You can leave and rejoin. All right, Abhishek? Yeah. Sorry, children. Aditi, I'll answer your question in a while. Very good question indeed. We have discussed this in grade 9 also. Very important question, actually. Before that, let's quickly understand this irrational numbers. So I was saying non-terminating, non-repeating decimal expansions would come under irrational numbers. So this is something that you need to remember from the previous slide. What did we say? Rational numbers are terminating. They should either terminate, or if they don't terminate, they have to repeat. Okay, and if both the cases are not possible, okay, if both the cases are not possible, that means if you have non-terminating, non-repeating decimals, then those kind of decimals fall under irrational numbers, right? So that is the definition. So again, I'm repeating, children, you need to remember it like this, that rational numbers would be terminating. If they don't terminate, they have to repeat. Irrational numbers, they will not terminate, they will not repeat. So non-terminating, non-repeating decimals would fall under irrational numbers. So for those of you who still don't, who haven't got it, you can just look at the examples there. The first one, 0.3433433343334 dot. Yeah. So what does that mean? You can see that, see, there is definitely a pattern. What is the pattern? 3 4 3 3 4 and so on. But is it a repeating pattern? No, it's not. Yeah, if it had to repeat, then it would have been written as 3 4 3 4 3 4 3 4 3 4. Are you getting the difference, children? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So, did you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, rational numbers, if I had to give an example of a rational number, then my example would be 0.34343434 and so on. Yeah, irrational number. Okay, Aditya, you're not able to hear me? All right, I think, yeah, fine, no issues, Aditya. You can just look at the slide and take down notes, because it's already half an hour. I'm not sure if you leave the meeting, if you can rejoin or not. All right. So that's the first example of irrational number. The next one they have taken is 45.86745893. Again, another example where you can clearly see that it doesn't terminate. Now, how do you know that it doesn't terminate? Any answers? How do we know that the second example is an example of non-terminating decimal expansion?
Ma'am, we show
They put
numbers that
dots.
don't repeat and then put the dots.
Put the dots. Very good. Who's this? Who answered?
Ma'am, two people answered. I am
Two people.
Abhinav and someone else answered also.
All right, all right. Okay, good job. Very good. So the dots indicate that these are examples of non-terminating decimal expansions. Do they repeat? Clearly not. You can clearly see that there's no repetition at all in the second example. So that's again an example of non-terminating, non-repeating decimals. Third example, one of the most commonly used, is the example of pi. Okay. Now I might be knowing only the value of pi as 3.14, but then if you Google, if you see pi value 3 point after the decimal point, the digits that you have, it just goes on forever, and there is no pattern. Okay, there is no repetition of numbers. So pi is one of the most beautiful examples of irrational numbers, because the value of pi is an example of non-terminating, non-repeating decimals. Yeah. The last example, root 2. Yes, indeed, all these square roots like root 2, root 3, root 3, and then yeah, what about root 4? Now root 4 is equal to 2. Yes, so 2 is a rational number, right? So we can't take root 4. Root 4 would be an example of rational number. So irrational number, yes, you can say root 5, root 6, root 7, root 8, but not root 9, again, because root 9 would give you 3. Yeah. Yes, so these are a few examples of irrational numbers. So what we've discussed till now is we discussed natural numbers, whole numbers, integers. All of them come under rational numbers. Then we have another set which is known as irrational numbers. And what you're going to do in this year's first chapter is the collection of rational and irrational numbers, which constitutes something known as real numbers. Right? So every number, basically every kind of number that you have studied till now would be taken into account, and these are called as real numbers. Is it clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So I just have a small exercise for you. We'll try doing this, and then we'll move on to the basic terms. All right. So I will be asking questions. Please don't prompt. So we need to classify all the numbers listed below as natural, whole, integers, rational, or irrational, and yeah, and list the answers. So let's have Kushal. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So Kushal, the first one is 117. So what kind of number is 117?
Rational number.
117 is a rational number. Kushal, is
Rational.
107? Very good, very good. Correct, Kushal. Is 100, Kushal, my question to you, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is 117 a natural number?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Is it a whole number?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Is it an integer?
No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So see, when you say a number is rational number, that means the number has to be a natural number, whole number, and integer. Are you
Yes, ma'am.
understanding? Yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Can you write 117 in the form of P by Q?
But
No,
0 is a rational
Kushal?
number and it's not a natural number.
We'll come to 0. We'll come to 0. We'll come to
Even I
0.
had that.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Kushal?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you express 117 as children, please mute your all of you should be muted. Only the person who's answering should be unmuted. We can hear a lot of noise.
It's Kushal's only.
It's Kushal's only. Fine, no problem. Okay. So Kushal, how can you write 117 in the form of P by Q?
Yes, ma'am.
How do we write that?
117 by 1.
117 by 1. Very good. Very good. So before we proceed to B, I remember I forgot about Aditi's question. So Aditi, repeat your question, beta.
Ma'am, is 22 by 7 a rational number?
Yes, very
Or
good. So yeah, so her question is, I want some of you to answer. Her question is, if pi is irrational, okay, if pi is irrational, we just saw in the previous slide that pi is irrational because 3.14 goes on in up to infinity, right? And it doesn't have any pattern. So that's why we say pi is irrational. So Aditi's question is, if pi is irrational, then what about 22 by 7? 22 by 7 is also taken as pi, right? So what will pi 22 by 7 be? Will it be rational or will it be irrational?
Ma'am, can I answer?
Yes, who's this?
Ma'am, it's Abhinav.
Yes, Abhinav.
Ma'am, so 22 by 7 is an approximate value of pi. It's not the exact value. 22
Very
by
good.
7 is 3.142857 bar.
Yes.
And pi is not, it's not a exact value. It's like the ratio of the circumference to the diameter.
Very good, Abhinav. Indeed, Pratyush, Geet, you have also shared your answer. It's very good. You are all correct. So that is your answer, Aditi. So I think to start with, 22 by 7 is in the form of P by Q. Okay, 22 by 7 is in the form of P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. So it does satisfy the definition for a rational number, and hence 22 by 7 has to be a rational number. Okay, so that's your first answer, like first logical approach to your answer. The second thing, why is it that 22 by 7 is rational, but pi is irrational? So Abhinav has answered it beautifully. So 22 by 7 is only an approximation of pi. It is not the exact value. So exact value of pi is irrational. Okay, so again, he said 22 by 7. He said, when you actually divide 22 by 7, you will get a repeating decimal expansion. And that is the reason why 22 by 7 is a rational number. Is it clear, Aditi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Children, am I going fast?
No, ma'am.
Fine?
No, ma'am,
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, it's
all
fine.
right, all right. All right. So B, which is 0, let's ask somebody from the group. Niranjana, are you there? Niranjana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, beta. Say, what do you think is 0?
0 is a whole number.
Yes, very good. And is 0 a rational number?
0.
Ma'am,
1 second, let her answer, then we can take up queries. So Niranjana, very good. 0 is a whole number, and 0 can't be a natural number because natural numbers start from 1, 2, 3, and so on. So what about, is 0 an integer?
Yes, 0 is an integer.
Very good. So if 0 is a whole number, 0 is an integer, then 0 has to be a rational number.
Okay.
Okay. Because coming back to the, okay, let me not answer this. Anyone, why is 0 a rational number?
It can be written in the form of p by q, 0 by 1.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Is that Niharika?
Yes.
Yes.
I typed the answer.
Okay, Niharika has typed the answer. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody else. Who is that? All right. So that is the correct answer. 0 is a whole number. 0 is an integer. 0 is a rational number. And if I'm saying 0 is a rational number, it should be expressed in the form of p by q. So 0 can be written as 0 by 1. Is it clear? All right. So number C.
Ma'am,
Haan, beta.
can't we just say that everything except number C is rational? And then number C is irrational. Then we are done.
Even F is
Or
irrational.
pi, yeah, F also.
Yeah,
Even F is
even
irrational.
F is there. Yes, yes. Very good. Smart kids, but we will go one by one. Yeah. So, Lalit, are you there, Lalit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, Lalit, number C.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Yes, Lalit. Number C. What do you think is, what kind of number is it?
Ma'am.
Can you hear, Lalit? Lalit, on the slide. Yeah. Number C. Minus 12.64039.
Non-terminating.
Non-terminating. Very good. So you have to take up the 5 options that are shown on the screen. Is it a natural number?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, this.
Lalit, number C, is it a whole number? That's a network problem, is it?
Yes.
A lot of network problem. Lalit, are you there, or should I ask the question to somebody else?
I'm there.
I mean, he's there, his network. Yeah, yes, Lalit, go ahead. So it's not a natural number. Is it a whole number?
Ma'am, it's a rational number, I think.
You think it's a rational number? Okay. And why do you think it's a rational number? What are rational numbers? They should either terminate.
They should either terminate.
Okay, or they should repeat. Yes, Lalit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So rational numbers are numbers which either terminate, or if they don't terminate, they have to repeat. Now, clearly, number C doesn't terminate, right? Because of the dots.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So if it doesn't terminate, it has to repeat. Yeah. Are they repeating? Are the digits repeating?
No, ma'am.
No. So this number C is neither terminating nor repeating. So the numbers which are non-repeating, non-terminating, they come under
irrational.
Very good. Irrational numbers. So number C is an example of irrational number. Is it clear? All right, great. Thank you. Number D, let's have Tarun. Tarun?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Tarun. Answer for number D. What kind of number is D?
Ma'am, it's an integer.
Minus 1 by 2. It's an integer. Very good. Is it a rational number?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is. Very good. Why is it a rational number?
Because rational numbers can be in the form of p by q also.
Yes, and here it is in the form of p by q. So p is what?
Numerator.
Yeah, numerator. Here, what is p equal to?
1. Yeah.
Minus 1.
Minus 1.
Yeah, and denominator is?
Minus 2.
No,
I mean
it's
2
2.
only 2.
Ma'am.
Denominator is 2. And the denominator is not equal to 0.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's why minus 1 by 2 is a rational number. Okay, number E is Swati. Swati?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Swati, what do you think is number E? Very simple, 6.36.
It
Did you answer? I think it's my network this time. Swati?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what's the answer, beta?
It's a rational number.
It's a rational number. And why is it a rational number?
Because it has only 2 decimals after the point. It's
so what
ended.
Do you call such?
It's
terminating.
terminating.
So what do you call such expansion? Very good. So since 6.36 is the terminating decimal expansion, therefore it is an example of rational number. Okay, very good. F, we have already discussed F, but let's have Tanya. Tanya?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Tanya. Explain why pi is, what is pi?
Pi, like if we take it in 3.14, it's a non-repeating and a non-repeating and non-terminating decimal. So it's a irrational number.
Very good, very
if
good.
we
That's
take
it.
it in the
That's
form of,
it. No more.
Okay.
No more. No more. So pi is always, see, when you say pi, then you can't say if I take it as 22 by 7. Okay, so that option is not there. So you need to remember that when they give you pi, they are referring to 3.14 and so on, right? So your answer is correct. So pi is non-terminating, non-repeating. That's why it is irrational. Surya, the last one, number G.
Ma'am, so hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So minus 3 is an integer.
Minus 3 is an integer. Very good. So is minus 3 rational number?
Yes, ma'am. You can write in the form of p by q,
Yes, it
minus
is.
3 by 1.
Very good, Surya. Good job. So I hope all of you have understood the basic concepts, right? These are important and it will help you do the first exercise of the chapter. So a little bit, actually not all the questions. I think there are 1 or 2 questions where you would need these concepts. And again, in the last exercise of the NCERT book, okay? So we have quickly revised what are real numbers. They are nothing but a collection of rational and irrational numbers. And under rational numbers, you have natural numbers, whole numbers, and integers. Okay, so that was a recap. So this is the figure, to just wrap it up all. So, and the collection of all rational and irrational numbers together would give us real numbers. Okay, so we've done it in detail. Any doubts, anyone till now, you can ask, or just go back and practice more questions of based on this, right? Any kind of doubts you can ask now, or you can just go back and try doing it. Yes, beta.
Ma'am, for a number to be rational, should it be an integer, natural, and a whole number?
No, not necessary. So if you see the slide that we are showing, right? If it is a natural number, like suppose 117, okay? So all natural numbers would be rational numbers also. All whole numbers will be rational numbers also. All integers will be rational numbers. So the boxing is one inside the other, right? So first comes natural numbers. Now when I talk about whole numbers, it is a collection of natural and whole. When I talk about integers, it's a collection of natural, whole, and also the negative numbers. So that's how it goes on.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Anything else, children?
When we have to define real number, it's any number that can be represented on a number line, right?
Yes, perfect. Or you can just say that it is a collection of rational and irrational numbers.
Okay.
Its
Okay.
square should be non-negative, right?
Whose square?
The real number square.
Real number square.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Who's this?
Ashwin.
Ashwin, very good. So this is a little higher order. You will be, if you are taking up math in 11th grade, you will be learning about this. So his doubt, his thing is, he's saying, if you have suppose I have root 2, okay? So root 2 is rational, right? I'm sorry, irrational. But if I have root and there's a negative 2, then it is not rational, it is not irrational. Okay, so it is another concept which is known as complex numbers, which you will be studying in grade 11.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Can I ask?
Yes, yeah.
Ma'am, like Ashwin said, so minus root 2. So those
Minus.
are called imaginary numbers. Right?
They are called imaginary numbers. Very good. Imaginary numbers or complex numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not
Ma'am?
there for you this year. So yeah.
If you take a graph
Mm-hmm.
which determines the square of things,
Mm-hmm.
so root 2 square would be just
2 itself.
root 2 square would be the square which forms on the, what quadrant is that?
First
I forgot the
quadrant.
quadrant.
First
The
quadrant.
positive quadrant. First
So-
quadrant. So on the opposite, minus under root 2 square will be in the third quadrant. So it's still there. I mean, it's still on the Cartesian plane. So we can't just say it's imaginary, right?
Okay, so is this Vansh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, there's a difference between if I write the minus outside the root.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm not able to write it here.
Minus outside, then it will be minus 1.4. But if you put it inside, then
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the minus is outside the root, so
Yeah.
so you read it as minus and then there's a root 2.
Oh, it's
Okay, so
outside.
yeah, if the minus is outside, then it is negative 1.414 and so on, which would be an example of irrational number. And like you said, yeah, it is negative. You can decide which quadrant it is in. But the one that Ashwin spoke about is the minus is inside the root. So there's a root and inside the root there's negative 2. That would not be a real number. Okay, that's called complex number or imaginary number, and it cannot be represented on a number line.
A Cartesian plane which is just which shows the square of numbers. I mean, that's what we started. So in the
Yes.
first quadrant would be all the normal squares, the positive squares.
Yes.
So if we have 2 square, we're gonna say x is 2 and then y is also 2. So
Mhm.
we get the number in area
Yes.
form.
Yes.
So we go to the third quadrant and then we do minus 2 on the x-axis and minus 2 on the y-axis, and we get that number. At least it's
Yes.
square.
Yeah.
So it's still there.
No, negative into negative is positive.
I mean, it's square. Under root minus 2.
Mm-hmm.
Under root minus 2 square.
Once do one thing, just write it in your paper and share it with us. I think then everybody will get clear with the doubt.
I'll do that at the close to the end of the class.
All right,
We
fine,
can
fine.
continue
So
the class
let's.
now.
All right, okay, thank you. Anything else, children? Any other doubt?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, what about the roots of decimal numbers? Will it be imaginary?
No, roots of all positive numbers would come under either rational or irrational. So if you have decimal expansions, mostly it will again be an irrational number. Okay. Indeed,
Okay,
cube
ma'am.
roots also. See, if I take square root of 2, it is an irrational number. Cube root of 2 will also be an irrational number. Fourth root of 2 will also be an irrational number. So all positive values, see, under the root, if you have a positive value, the value could be just just a natural number, it could be a decimal number, but anything under the root, if you have a positive value, then it is an irrational number. All right, but if you have a negative value, again, that is not there this year, just because Ashwin raised the question, so I explained. Under the root, if you have a negative value, then that is not an example of real numbers. So that would come under something known as complex numbers or imaginary numbers.
Ma'am,
Yes.
are all the root of prime numbers an irrational number?
Are all the roots of
Root of
prime
prime
number?
numbers.
Yes. Irrational numbers. Yes, it is. Very good. Good. I think, yeah, good observation. The roots of all prime numbers would be irrational numbers. Yes. Like root 2, root 3, root 5, root 7. Yes. Anything else, children? Can we proceed to the main concept now? All right. So, so you would need a. All right. So what do you have in this chapter? I'm coming to the main topic, the most important one. So in the chapter, we are going to start with something known as Euclid's division algorithm. Okay, it's called Euclid's division algorithm, or it's also sometimes known as Euclid's division lemma. I'm going to show you a small video also. And what exactly is it? It is nothing but to calculate the HCF of two numbers. Okay, there are two numbers, and then we go on to find HCF of three numbers also. Right now, to understand the first exercise of the chapter, yes, I can see a lot of answers coming in. Very good. To understand what exactly is Euclid's division algorithm, let's start with something simple. Okay, so basically, because the algorithm it revolves around finding HCF of two numbers. So we will look into something that we've already done in our lower classes, right? So what you see on the screen is to calculate HCF using prime factorization methods. Now you've done two methods in your lower classes, and we would be needing both these methods this time in grade 10, but mostly the questions are asked on the Euclid's division algorithm. The name looks really big, but then when you understand, it's very, very simple. So you don't have to worry about that. So before we come to Euclid's division algorithm, we will have to know how to calculate HCF of two numbers using the two methods that you've learned. So the first method is prime factorization method. So that's a question on the screen, on the slide. So yeah, please try doing it, and maybe one of you can share your answers. I don't know how many of you remember this, because you must have done this somewhere in grade, I don't know, 6 maybe. So try doing it, everyone. A lot of correct answers coming in. Very good. You have to find HCF of 14 and 8. I need steps. Okay, you need to show me the steps. Yes, who's this? Somebody who's not
Abhinav.
answered. Okay,
Oh,
Abhinav.
okay.
Yeah, Abhinav, you have answered.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody who's not
Ma'am.
answered. Yes, who's this?
Amisha.
Amisha. Have you got the answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the answer?
2.
Would you like to share your answer with us? The steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll stop sharing and you can share it.
1 second, ma'am.
Yeah, no problem.
Ma'am, can I just tell it because there's a problem with my camera?
Okay, well, let's have somebody. You want to tell it, then I'll show the answer. 1 second.
Okay.
I'll show the answer. You can explain it to the class. Yes, Amisha. Please explain.
Prime factorization method. Okay.
Yeah.
I did. Okay.
Well, you
so
did
we
some.
need to take the. We need to do L. Yeah, I did EDL.
Okay. That's fine. We are coming
so
to that.
we need to take the prime factors. Yeah, we need to take the prime factors of 14 and 18. So we need to take the common factor of 14 and 18 then. And yeah. So we get 2.
Yeah. So 14 is 1 into 2 into 7, and 8 is 2 into 2 into 2. So you can see that 2 is the only common factor in both 14 and 8, right? So that's why HCF of 8 and 14 is 2. I think that was simple. Kashmi, can we factorize both together? Yes, you can. Yep.
That would be
Can we
LCM.
proceed to the next one?
Ma'am, that would be LCM.
Yeah, that if you're taking LCM, then you would actually multiply all the terms that are left. Okay. If you're taking HCF, you're only taking the value which is common, like to the left side.
No,
Doing it
I'm
together
not
is also fine. Yes,
fine.
it's fine. Okay, so I hope
Yeah.
this was a good recap for all of you who didn't remember how to prime factorize. So that's the example. I have 2 more examples. Let's quickly do that. And I'll ask one of you to solve. So this is the second question. 9 and 27. Yes, Ashwin, very good. Yes, Asim, correct. Asim, would you like to share your answer with the class? Rakshit, no, that's not the correct answer. Yeah, Asim, would you like to share the answer with us? Your steps? Yes, very good. A lot of correct answers. Good job, children. Yes. So Asim, yeah, you can now share your answer. Asim, are you there? Yes, Ahan,
Yes,
even
ma'am.
EDL method is fine. Asim,
Yes,
are you
ma'am.
sharing your answer or yes?
No, 1 minute now. I'll share.
Sure, sure.
I can put the whiteboard if you want.
Yeah.
Do that also.
Ma'am, I'll put the whiteboard.
Yes, sure. Yes, Asim, go ahead. Asim, you can unmute and you can keep explaining as you type the answer.
Okay.
So 27 can be written as?
Second. Wait.
Yes.
Twenty-seven can be written as 3 and 3 into
Very good.
3 into 3, which is 3 cube.
Correct.
9 is can be written as 3 into 3, that is 3 square.
Very good.
The common factors are
Perfect. So that's why HCF would be equal to
9.
9. Very good. Very good, Asim.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Can ask me.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, we can use the other method also. That's easier.
Yes, yes,
Long
the
division.
EDL method. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm coming to that. And that
Okay.
is the method that's going to help us understand the Euclid's division algorithm.
Ma'am, because I use that method, it's actually
No problem.
faster. It's
No
easier.
problem.
Yeah, 27
Yes.
is equal to 9 into 3 plus 0. Yeah, that's okay.
Yes. So HCF is equal to 9?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Very good, Asim. Let's move on to the next question. So last example on prime factorization method. Let's see who can do this. Yes, very good, Asim. That is the correct answer. Ashwin, correct answer. All right. So I think most of you have got the answer. Very good. So that's the answer on the screen. For those of you who couldn't do, just cross check your answers. I can see a lot of answers coming in. Very good, all of you. So the HCF of 12 and 56 is 4. Okay. I think one child has got the wrong answer. Please check your value once again. The others have done it well. So 12 is 2 into 2 into 3. 56 is 2 into 2 into 2 into 7. So what are the common factors? It's just 2 into 2, which is 4. Yeah. So this is the first method, which is the prime factorization method. The reason why I took this up and why all of you should be knowing this method is because they ask you, sometimes it is specific. Okay. So method 1, prime factorization method. So this was a recap. Method 2 is the long division method that you all know about. So I'm coming to that now. So our next question would be to calculate HCF using the long division method, using the division method. So this is the question. Please try, children. Yes, very good, Ashwin. That's really quick. Correct. That is the answer. Yes, Abhinav, correct. Asim, answers correct. Pratyush, yes, that is the correct answer. Good job. So by using division method, I am getting quite a few wrong answers as well. So I think because this is the first example, we will look into the solution and maybe work out the others on your own. Yeah, so I am showing the answer on the screen. This is how you do the long division method. Most of you have got it, but I do have a lot of wrong answers as well. So look at the answer on this slide, children. So how do you do the long division method? You actually divide, isn't it? So there's 270. It has to be divided by 180. You get a remainder, and then you again take 180. The divisor becomes the dividend here. Yeah. So you keep doing that till you get the remainder as 0. So when the remainder becomes 0, something on the value that you have on the left, the circled one, look at the circled one, that becomes the HCF, right? So this is the long division method, and answer here would be HCF equal to 90. So people who have gone wrong, I request you to look at the slide and understand and ask doubts if any. Most of you, like, yeah, some of you might have actually forgotten how to do it. So if you see, you will get it. Long division is keep dividing them till you get remainder 0, right? In each step, what happens is the remainder becomes the divisor, and the divisor in the first step becomes the dividend in the second step. And when I'm saying this, there are 4 terms that you all should know, which is dividend, divisor, remainder, and quotient. So in the first step, what is the dividend? Dividend is 270. What is the divisor? 180. What's the quotient? Quotient is 1. And the remainder is 90.
Ma'am, long division method and EDL is similar, no, ma'am?
Yes, yes, they are similar. So you can use any method, either the EDL one or.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I didn't understand step 2.
Yeah, who's this? Okay, somebody said you didn't understand the second step. Did you understand that the remainder is 90?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now in the first step, our divisor is 180.
Yes.
So you bring that 180 down.
Okay.
Yeah, you bring that 180 down, and then you do the normal division. 92s are 180.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So you've got a remainder. So till you keep doing this till you actually get a remainder equal to 0.
Okay, ma'am.
So the step where you get remainder 0, that step divisor becomes the HCF. So 90 is circled. So HCF is 90 here.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am,
Yes.
so there are two numbers have to find HCF.
Mm-hmm.
So once we divide and from the remainder we divide again. And
Yeah.
then if we get a remainder again, what will be the dividend?
Yeah. So you will again do it. Suppose let's assume here we don't get a 0. Okay. Let's assume there's some number 5. Yeah. So now what you do is you bring down 90. 90 becomes your dividend, and you're dividing 90 by 5. So you keep doing that. These steps will continue till you actually get the remainder 0. Okay. And anything else, children? Okay. So quickly, one more question for you all. Please try this using division method, the method that was shown in the first question. Okay, Ashwin and Asim, very good. That's so quick. That is the correct answer. Yes, Amisha, Pratyush, all your answers are correct. The others, yeah, Niharika, correct answer. Abhinav, correct answer. Sahil, correct answer. Can one of you share your answer with us? Who would like to? Somebody who's
I'll
not done
share.
it. Yeah, who's this?
Abhinav.
Okay,
I've done
Abhinav
it
is
in
always.
EDL method.
No issues. That's fine.
Shall I
Would you
share,
like
ma'am?
to share? Yes. Who is this?
Ahan.
Yes, Ahan. Do it.
Yes. Why da? Ma'am, I'll show it on whiteboard, ma'am.
Sure. Yes, Surya, you have a doubt?
No, ma'am.
So some of you have got wrong answers. Anyway, you will learn. Sahil, there's nothing to laugh. Why do you have to put that emoji? Kushal, yes, very good. That is the correct answer.
Ma'am?
If I've not taken your name, that means your answer is wrong. So you can go back and cross check. Vishnu, correct. That is the answer.
Ma'am, I'm not able to share. There's some network problem here.
All right, fine. I'll share the answer. You can explain it to the class.
Yeah, ma'am.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, this is all in the form of A equals to BQ plus R. Is it that formula?
Yes, that is the formula that we are coming to, and that is the Euclid's division lemma.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was the question? 75 and?
180.
180.
Yeah. All right. So please explain. Ahan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you divide 180 by 75, ma'am. 75
Yes.
2s are 150. Then you get remainder as 30. Then you take 75 over there, ma'am. So 30 into 2 is 60. Then remainder 50. Then you take 30 over there. So 15 into 2 is 30 and you get 0.
Perfect. So what is the HCF?
2, ma'am.
No.
Ma'am, it's 15.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. 15. Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah. So HCF is the last step. In the last step, whatever is your divisor, that becomes the HCF. If you remember,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
had circled 90 in the previous one. So here it is 15. So 1,
Yes,
5,
ma'am. Sorry.
15 is the HCF of 75 and 180. All right.
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So some of you may not have understood, there were 2 steps in the previous one. So now we have 3 steps. So I think now it should be clear how each step is being taken. Yeah. 75 is the divisor in the first step. It becomes the dividend in the second step. 30 is the divisor in the second step. It becomes the dividend in the third step. So that's how you continue. Keep doing that till you get a remainder 0. And if you go wrong, some silly mistake somewhere, then I think the entire work goes wrong. So you have to be very careful. So a lot of you had got wrong answers. I hope you've checked it. And can we proceed to the next question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ankita, any doubts? Ankita?
No, ma'am.
No. All right. You got the answer now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What what went wrong?
I didn't put I messed up with the dividend thing. So, like,
Okay. So the bigger number is the dividend. So very obvious. Take 180 as dividend, 75 as divisor.
okay, I took 30 and I divided it. So,
Okay, fine. All right. The last question. Yeah. So 300 and 396. Yes, very good. A lot of correct answers this time. I think all of you have given correct answers. Good job, children. Who would like to share their answer with us? Very good. Very good. Somebody who is not, you can just, actually take a picture and share. That is the correct answer. All of you, indeed, whoever's texting, all that is the correct answer. Anyone who would like to share your answer with us?
Ma'am, can I explain?
You will explain?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll show you the answer. One second.
Ma'am, yeah, so in the first case, you should do first, we have 12, so then we should take 396 inside. So
Yes.
then, ma'am, it's not 12, I think it's 1, right? 300 into 1.
300 into 1. Yes, sorry, that's a
The
mistake.
2
There.
is
Yeah.
a mistake, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
300 into 1 will give you 300. So when you subtract, you get 96. Then you take 300 as the dividend. So 96 into 3 will give you 288. Then again you get 12, and 12 into 8 is 96, and the last divisor is 12, so it's
Very good. The remainder is 0. Last divisor is 12, and that is why 12 is the HCF. Very good. Very good. Yes. So I think most of the answers are two. Some of you got wrong. So please check your answers. And I hope it's clear. The first divisor, the first quotient, it's not 12, it's actually 1. So that's a printing error there. So these were the two methods. One is the prime factorization method. Second is the long division method. And the long division method is the one which is going to help us in learning the Euclid's division algorithm. Okay, so I am going to show you a small video. I hope it works. Just give me a second. It's not happening. Okay, just give me a second, children. It says it's uploading. All right, I think it's not coming. I'll do one thing. I'll just show it to you on the whiteboard itself. Okay. So all of you look into the previous question that we had. We had HCF of two numbers. The two numbers are 300 and
396.
396. Okay. Is that fine, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
All right. So now what is the first step that you did? What was the first step? Can somebody read it out?
396 divided by 300.
Yeah. So 396 divided by 300 gave us a remainder equal to
96.
96, and the quotient is equal to
300.
no, quotient is equal to 1. So the first step, I'm going to write it like this. I hope this works. I hope you're able to understand. I'm going to write this as 396 is equal to 300
into 1 plus 96.
into 1
Plus 96.
plus 96. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Actually, if anyone has, if you're on the system, you can share the screen. You can type it out. You know, it will be really of good help to me. Can somebody do that?
Do it.
Who will do it?
Pratyush.
Yeah. So Pratyush, yeah. So I will stop sharing. You do it. Okay. This is what you're going to write on the screen. 396 is equal to 300 into 1 plus 96. Yeah.
Ma'am, Euclid's division algorithm is just the repeated use of the division lemma, right?
Yes, it is. Very good.
So what's the difference between lemma and algorithm, ma'am?
So lemma is like a theorem, you know, where you have to, where you actually explain the theorem in words. When you use the lemma to calculate something, it then becomes, it is called as algorithm.
So it's a statement different, ma'am. So in
It's a
lemma we write
statement.
that applying Euclid's division lemma on 96 and this thing.
Exactly. So when you're applying the lemma onto two numbers and you calculate the HCF, then you say that it is the Euclid's division algorithm.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, Pratyush, thank you so much. So 396, our first step will be written as 396 is equal to 300 into 1 plus 96. Very good. Now the next step. So tell me what is there in the next step.
300.
What is your dividend?
300.
300 is your
300.
dividend. So you will now write 300 is equal to
96.
96 into 3.
yes. 300 is equal to
96.
96. 96 is your divisor. 96 into 3. 3 is your quotient.
Plus 12.
Plus 12.
Very good. Plus 12. 12 is the remainder. Are you able to understand, children? Each step, each division that you did is now written like this. Thank you, Pratyush. Now the last step, the last division.
96.
96 by
96 is equal to
12 into 8 plus
12
0.
into 8 plus 0.
Plus 0.
Very good. 12 into 8 plus 0. So you can just circle 12 in your answers and that will be your HCF. Okay, so therefore HCF is equal to 12. Pratyush, let it be like this. Okay, I have a few more explanations to be done. So children, what you see on the screen is known as the Euclid's division algorithm. The name is big, but actually this is something that you all know already. Yeah. Now, you know, each of the 3 steps that we've written, one thing is common. Each of them is in the form of dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. And we know this. We've learned this in our lower classes. Yeah. So each of the steps, okay, when you write the long division sum in something like this as shown on the screen, this is the method, this method of writing or finding HCF is known as Euclid's division algorithm. Are you clear? Yeah.
Yes,
So there are three types of finding HCF. The first one where you're doing a prime factorization method that we did. The second one is the long division method. So indeed, you can always do the long division method, and then rewrite your answer as shown in the screen, as shown on the screen. So this becomes, when you write your answer, when you calculate HCF using something shown like this, then this is known as Euclid's division algorithm. Are you clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, indeed, as a practice, we just have 5 more minutes. So indeed, as a practice, you can take up more questions. All the questions that we did today, you can try calculating them using the Euclid's division algorithm. All right. So I will thank you, Pratyush. I will now share the algorithm with you, and I think that should be the last for today. Yeah, so this is what I want you to understand before we end the class, before we end today's class. So what is Euclid's division lemma? It says, given two positive integers a and b. Now in the example that we took up, our a and b are 300 and 396. Is that okay? Given two positive integers a and b, there exists unique integers q and r. Q is the quotient, r is the remainder, satisfying a is equal to bq plus r. Okay, now this is the most important one. A is equal to bq plus r. See, look at the example that they have shown on the screen. A is equal to bq plus r. A is nothing but dividend. B is divisor. Q is quotient and R is the remainder. So something that we always used to say, we used to say that dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder, right? That thing is rewritten as A is equal to BQ plus R. Yes, Niranjana, we have to. Yeah, we have to. So are you clear, children? So what is Euclid's division lemma? Only the name is big. It's nothing but it just means that dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder, which is written as A is equal to BQ plus R. So did you all understand the first part? A equal to BQ plus R?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Now the next part, okay, the first sentence, see there, R, the remainder, will always lie between 0 to B. Okay, now this is a long division rule. Whenever you divide two numbers, you will always see that the remainder will be either 0, okay, and if you don't get 0, then the remainder will be lesser than the divisor. So that's something that we always do. If you look at the first step, you took 396 and you divided it by 300. You got a remainder which is less than the divisor, right? So that is the reason why we say that the remainder always lies between either 0, it has to be 0, or it has to be lesser than the divisor, right? So if somebody asks you, what did we actually learn in today's class? What is Euclid's division lemma? Euclid's division lemma is nothing but A is equal to BQ plus R, where A and B are two integers, right? And the formula that you're using is dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder, right? And the algorithm. Now, what is Euclid's division algorithm? That means they will give you two integers, A and B, and you have to find their HCF. So you are finding HCF using A is equal to BQ plus R. So the calculation that you do is known as Euclid's division algorithm. The last question that you did.